Hi, everyone. This is episode 3 in the Performance Management video series. In this session, we'll explore the flow of work. In other words, quite simply, how work flows into an organization, is acted upon within the organization, and then flows out to the company's marketplace. The flow of work. Let's dig in. Every company has its own unique flow of work. Every company is different, naturally, of course. This flow is a key determinant in the design and ongoing commitment to performance management. For reference, let's look at 4 distinct ways in which workflow is addressed. So, company number 1 in our examples is in the business of manufacturing and selling highly complex products. It has supply chains, it completes the manufacturing and the manufacturing sequence of the work of building products. And manufacturing may be located in multiple countries throughout the world. Several components of the products are provided by third party suppliers. So there's a complex set of ecosystems that are supporting, in essence, the building of products. And those products could then be drop shipped for final assembly in other countries for ultimate use. Sales are completed either in a direct fashion or via the web or through channels and distributed networks. These are complex organizations, but doing routinized work to some degree. And it's not unusual for these types of organizations to be running on slim profit margins and dependent on high volume sales and operational efficiency in order to be successful. So, this company example that I'm providing you now is typically going to be highly structured with a metrics driven culture, with workflows in which there's co engineering design, sales orders, supply chain planning, materials that are developed and provided and staged for the manufacturing, which is scheduled. Then there's packaging, and then there's logistics and shipping. And then you rinse and repeat continuously throughout the course of the day and possibly throughout the 24 hours of a day. So, in these types of settings, this first example that I'm giving, annual corporate goal setting is a reasonably predictable process. So, they do a lot of metrics planning and tracking throughout the course of the year, starting all the way at the beginning of their business year. Company number 2 is on the other end of the spectrum. It's a full service advertising agency selling highly creative branded solutions for its clients. They have a project driven environment that encourages risk taking, loose brainstorming sessions, and creativity. Sales cycles are often long and varied in approach. Workflows throughout the company may come by way of outbound relationships, selling, referrals, response to RFPs, and other means. In this case, you have a creative team that develops and pitches solutions to clients. Client services are provided by a range of hybrid teams based on the needs of the client. The ultimate metrics are client success that also result in agency profitability. Annual goals are often tied to client retention. So, no surprise here, corporate goal setting may be highly unpredictable if it's taken on at all. So that's company number 2. Company number 3 is a software company. It's grown over its lifetime through the acquisition and integration of other smaller companies. So this cobbled together business means there are multiple cultures with histories dating back to early fast and loose startups merged into this mothership of an organization. Thus, employees in many cases hold on to the branding and unique culture of their originating companies. Each acquired company represents a software offering that provides solutions into a complex ERP marketplace. Sales cycles are long in this example. Profit margins are high. Clients are typically viewed as sticky once they are signed on to the software platform because now they're reliant on the use of that software on an ongoing basis within their operation. This means there's ongoing professional services provided to support the software. And probably in this setting, corporate goals are moderately unpredictable, but there's the possibility because of these long sales cycles that they foresee what the future holds and they can be a bit more predictable in their corporate goal setting. That's company number 3. Finally, in our examples, let's look at company number 4. It's a recruiting company. which provides high-level professional and executive search solutions. Sales cycles are long and competitive. Direct selling sometimes accomplishes the opportunity to close some deals through the relationships they have already in place. Work is completed by a recruiting team that does direct outreach to find potential candidates. And in this case, this is a high touch, we'll call it, human activity that has reasonable profit margins. Just depends on how they've structured the deals and whether this is a one off big executive search or whether they're hiring a bunch of people for entry level jobs on an ongoing basis. It's marked by a constant churn of projects, thus the need for active marketing sales constantly. Corporate goal setting in this case is probably moderately unpredictable due to just the churn of the business and the lack of knowing what the next year holds. So, those are four different company examples that work with their flow of incoming work activities in vastly different ways. As a result, performance management programs have to take on the unique handoffs that occur through the movement of work and the range of work content that enters into the organization so they can best align the tracking and progress towards defined goals. And in the metrics driven business cultures, there's much more likelihood of this rigorous, detailed performance management process that I mentioned earlier. So, cultures can be project driven or creatively focused or defined by the routinized nature of the work. And this can ultimately structure the path towards performance management. See the distinctions? Every company is unique, as we know. It's worth noting that all these companies and most others have some high level planning associated with the running of their operations. Ultimately, they all determine what financial, operational, and human resources are applied to which business needs. As noted earlier, there's not an endless pot of gold and there's not an endless available set of resources for them. So they do need this means of determining where they're going to focus. That's performance management. And if they're committed to a pay for performance practice, they need some form of performance management in order to make these fair pay decisions on rewards. Each of the companies that I've described often make decisions throughout the year based on unplanned situations to a greater or lesser extent, which can affect their sales production and services operations. Thus, it's essential to develop a performance management program that can achieve the following conditions. One, the performance management program can flex to business conditions. Number two, it defines success for each employee along the way. We'll discuss that further. Number three, it lets employees know where they stand. Number four, it allows for a constant two-way dialogue between managers and employees. And finally, number five, the performance management program must incorporate team goals into the process and more. And those are just a few examples of how performance management programs need to work. This is complex stuff with a human endeavor associated with it. No wonder companies are constantly revisiting how they get the work of performance management done. So, in short, the flow of work through organizations determine the design of performance management processes. But it doesn't stop there. A number of factors must be considered to design the ultimate fit of performance management for your organization. Are you metrics driven or are you more creative in how you approach the work? Where's the value chain in your organization? Measuring what gets done or allowing for the creativity of the brain power to emerge in whatever fashion it may. So, in my next session, I'll explore those two conditions and the alignment of a performance management system that fits the unique operations of an organization. So, that's it for today. Join us in our next session, in which we'll dig deeper into metrics driven versus creative cultures. See you then.